There are stories and there are stories, but this one will always be fresh in our minds.
The year was 1956. I was newly married. And to celebrate our first New Year together, my wife and I, Charito, decided to go to Baguio, a mountain resort in the Philippines. And coming with us was my brother-in-law, Manolo, with his wife, Butch.
Baguio is beautiful. 5,000 feet above sea level, great views, pine trees, and all the rest of it.
I had just bought a U.S. Army surplus jeep earlier that year, and against the advice of our friends, we took it to Baguio. I had a feeling, though, that this jeep had been to the sands of Iwo Jima, but we were certain we could make it up to Baguio. We called our trip BaguioOrBust, and we had a theme song.
Off we go into the wild blue yonder, climbing high into the sun. Here they come.
Sure enough, drove like a Lincoln Town Car. We got there, rung in the new year, and had a great time. Although they warned us that our Jeep would never make it, they never said anything about making it back. And now, our story begins.
We left Baguio for Manila at about 2 o'clock in the afternoon on New Year's Day, expecting to be back home by about 7 that evening. The drive down the mountain went smoothly. But as soon as we hit flatland, the wheel began wobbling. I told Manolo I'd walk about 300 meters ahead of the Jeep to see what was wrong. After Manolo drove up to me, he asked, "What did you see?" And I told him what I saw. The wheel was wobbling. We were lucky. There were some body of folks standing by the road, and one of them turned out to be a mechanic. That's what he said, and we believed him at that time. And he turned a screw, and from there on, the Jeep stopped wobbling. How do you like that?
Same day at dusk. Here's the picture. Manolo was driving fast. We hit gravel. He slammed on the brakes when he saw a road barrier at the last second. We spun 3 times and hit that barrier. Boy, dogs started barking. Lights came on. You know, people in the provinces are asleep at that time or usually get involved in something productive to increase the population, if you know what I mean. Manolo and Tom put the barrier back up and it read, "Bridge out." We walked about 10 yards and saw the river. We were all shaken up. Manolo got so scared, he said, "Tom, you drive." At this point, we stopped singing and began praying. The darker it got, the harder we prayed.
We continued driving. Then the headlights started to dim again, and finally it went out. Luckily, we found a mechanic nearby. He was a rice mill mechanic. He wasn't a car mechanic. But in the Philippines, if you can turn a screw, it's good enough. So he opened the hood to peek into the carburetor. The warehouse was dark, and like a good citizen, I flicked my lighter so he could see the engine. That's when everybody just jumped out of the way and started yelling, "Turn it off!" Thank God nothing happened. I'm still here. As he was fixing the Jeep, he handed me a screw. It slipped right out of my fingers, and because the oil cap was off, it fell right into the engine. Can you believe that? Now everybody was really worried. Amazingly, I blindly stuck my finger in, and there it was, in one try. Again, another miracle, another Hail Mary. Seriously, it was at this point that we really started believing in the rosary.
Eventually, the car got fixed, so we felt safe singing again. After about 10 kilometers, the lights started dimming again. Remember that at that time, the provinces were infested with communist guerrillas. The best we could do at that point was to follow the passing buses until they outdistanced us. Then we would just wait for the next bus. Tom would tap something on the Jeep and the lights would miraculously come on again. So singing would start again. Then lights would begin to dim. So we'd begin praying again. And this went on for a while, a very long while.
At one point, Butch pointed at the light and told me to just follow it. She thought it was a headlight. It turned out to be a lamppost. We were lucky the road was straight, otherwise we could have driven off the cliff. At long last, the first rays of dawn came. We finally made it home, 12 hours later than we expected. What still amazes us to this day is that the battery never died. I still attribute it to all those Hail Marys. It was a new year we will never forget. After that, we thought this jeep will make it back to Iwo Jima, and we began to plan our next trip.